that's a triple play. New episodes, I couldn't wait. Yeah, open your mind at the first gate. Press play, no need to debate. AoA, check me out. Look, plugged in, you can catch the hype. Golden Dawn, how we follow the light. Anime like life, married to it.
Yo, what is up? Hello and welcome back to the AoA show. I'm your host as always, Ian, along with my boys Isaiah.
Yo.
And Gavin.
No, what's going on?
And today we wanted to review Demon Slayer chapter 204. Was this some heartwarming shit or what? We hop right into the chapter, guys, after the fight with Muzan and the scare that we had with Tanjiro almost turning into a full-blooded demon, quite literally being able to withstand the sun. Everyone would have been screwed, but he did not. Luckily, because of all the people that were surrounding him. And now we see our heroes 3 months later at the Butterfly Estate when we start off. And blossoms are in full swing. And it's basically just kind of like, oh, Tanjiro, like you have all these injuries now. And, you know, let's pay homage to these people. But it was a little bit of a longer chapter and it was really good. It was a lot of heartwarming stuff. And I'm really excited to talk about it and hear your guys' thoughts as well. But yeah, once we get in there, the first shots we have are with Tanjiro and Nezuko, and they're talking. And I was surprised to see his hand. I can't even remember, like, did his hand in particular get really jacked up? Or is it like half his body is just like decaying from the one side from Muzan? I was curious to talk about that, what your guys' thoughts were on that.
I was really hoping that you guys had insight on it because when I was reading it, I literally was just like, I do not remember anything happening. Like to his I don't know. Isaiah, please.
I'm pretty sure it was when he was fighting Muzan, like when he was coming out of that demon pool, like it showed like his arm, caught up in all that shit, and so.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, because he mentions like, oh, I can't feel anything from my elbow down, which is like what it looked like in that panel in the last chapter or 2 chapters ago, whatever.
Yeah, man. No one gets out unscathed, basically, and his eyeball, right? Like that's for real, right? And his eyeball is all jacked up as well. But again, Tanjiro, classic Tanjiro, is apologizing to everyone for everything that he's done. And, you know, it's warranted, I guess, like, sort of, right? It kind of wasn't his fault, but whatever. But it's Tanjiro. So, of course, he's going to try and put everyone's needs above his own. And it was really cute to see Nezuko finally, be a human, like, as a character and have, like, a couple, like, quite a few panels within this chapter. Yeah, exactly. It was funny. And it's like, because you really never knew what her full personality was, right? Like, as a human being, because there's so little time that you get to spend with her before she's turned into a demon. And it was funny that she's like, don't say that. Like, I'm gonna smack you if you say that. Like, she's just so kind-hearted. And it's like, I mean, we kind of expected it to be like that. But it's like she's very giddy and cheerful, and you know what I mean, and like this really warm-hearted person. And it was just really cute to see that. You know, I was really excited about that. But you know, and then we get some of the other folks in there as well. Who his name evades me? Who's the young boy demon that was under the doctor?
Tamio's assistant.
Yes, yeah, Tamio's assistant, whose name I forget.
He's like, what's his name? I got you. He's the assistant guy.
If you are a first-time viewer of this show, you will know that we forget literally everyone's name, so this is nothing new. Correct?
Oh, Yushiro. San. I'm reading it from the manga.
Totally covered it up. They'll never know you didn't know his name.
No, I reference back to the manga and I'm looking at it. I'm like, Yushiro-san. Oh, yeah.
So, Gavin, tell us your thoughts on Yushiro-san and what you thought about him in the chapter, because I know that you had some cool things. You were really high on him in some of the previous chapters, and our like overall review up to like chapter 202, and that was the only thing out at the time. And when he was in the fight with Muzan and stuff like that, and you really liked him personally as a character, I was curious to hear your thoughts on the on his panels in this chapter, because they were pretty funny.
I love him because he's just a fucking savage, dude. Like, you gotta love it, especially when it's a young kid and they like know what they got and they're just like rolling into this place. Like, he's trying to say kind-hearted shit. He's like, you know what, Tanjiro, you worked really hard. You're incredible. Like, you're amazing. And then of course, like, Tanjiro just goes goes back at him, and he's like, nah, bro, like, I couldn't do it unless it was for all you guys, and, you know, I'm nothing, more or less. And then he's more like just, he's just like, I'm just joking, you're idiot. You're not that good. I know. It's everybody else that, like, helped around you. And then Tanjiro's just like, what the fuck? And then he just walks away, like, takes his cat and leaves. But, like, it's you know what they're getting at. It's, like, the underlying meaning. Like, he said what he said in terms of, like, he doesn't actually give out compliments. You know, he's always just kind of, like, this kid with the stick up his ass who's always, like, following his mentor and doing whatever she says, and is very, like, not strict, but he has a lot of respect for people, and you've just never seen him, like, kind of give emotions. And this was, like, the first time he did it, and it's almost like the Inosuke treatment, you know? Like, oh, you did good, but then go fuck yourself, like, a second later. And I don't know, I appreciate it. Like, he kind of said his piece, and then now they kind of just can weed him out. At least I'm happy they gave closure for his character, because they really didn't have to. And that's what I just really appreciate about this book in general, where they really do pay homage to their side characters. It's not the Tanjiro show. It's also everybody else has lives around them, and they're going into each individual perspective and, like, fleshing that out. And I really appreciated that in this last chapter specifically, because they even went in on the wind pillar and what's his name, Giyu, and, you know, all their interactions, even with the Ubashiki clan, like, when they had that interaction, and they're just like, your whole, like, lineage would be fucking proud of you guys, and they had that little crying scene. Like, that shit was just so impactful, and I like how they really went in on each individual, like, person, and that's what makes me, like, excited for, like, the future and what that holds, as we'll talk about more in this episode.
100%.
But you just got to appreciate it when they go back and they pay homage to all the side characters, and they don't just, like, they're not just running the shit and ending it, like, on a dime. They're actually, like, going through it, but not beating it. They're not, in my opinion, I don't feel like they're beating it to death yet. Maybe if they, like, extend it for a couple more chapters, probably. But, like, for right now, I feel like this is just well-needed, like, time to vent and de-stress after everything that had happened. And I appreciate the way that they're taking it, like, moving forward.
No,
so I guess that's my
agree.
2 cents on it.
No, that was good. That was well said. And I'm actually curious, too, because, again, at the end of this chapter, we see that the next chapter is going to be in the modern era. And I'm actually looking back at the panels now, and Tanjiro says to him, he says, "You're the only one who can remember Tamio-san forever." And I thought that was interesting now that I'm, like, reading this again, and I'm like, oh, shit, like, I wonder, you know, he'll, I would assume, be alive, you know, like, in the present day era, based off that wording that they used, seemed very specific, and the fact that we're going to be in the modern era. So I find that very interesting, where it's like he's going to be, you know, he, being a demon, is going to live through all these generations and eras, you know what I mean? Be able to see all this through. So, like, if this manga continues for a while in the modern era, which is up for debate, but I feel that he would be a pretty prominent character, you know, being that he's been alive for God knows how long, barring some crazy incident happened to him. So
Yeah.
That was interesting. But
That's true, and he really got the shit end of the stick of that whole ordeal then. Like, the only one left without a cure that kind of just has to live his life. You know, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's kind of like, it's kind of sad.
yeah,
I don't know, a little tragic.
There are definitely some bittersweet moments, man. There, like I said before, nobody got away unscathed from this, whether physically or mentally, I would say. Except for, like, Inosuke, because he's basically immortal. But in other news, Giyu got a haircut. Isaiah, what are your thoughts on that? I know you're a big Giyu guy. We go to the next.
What
Was
are my
the two
thoughts on
pillars
his haircut?
Hell yeah! I want to know if you're digging his style or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fucked with
It
it.
looks cool. I don't know.
I didn't even know he got a haircut.
I mean, I
Bruh,
did. But, like,
Isaiah, it was a fucking segue, my dude. That's what
well, it
I'm
was
saying.
pretty shitty.
You know what? You're pretty shitty.
Yeah, I don't know. The haircut was pretty cool, but I think what is even cooler is, like, seeing all these characters who have just been through, you know, the definition of shit, finally just get a moment to breathe. And, like, you know, it's definitely, you know, sort of, I guess, you know, it's very sorrow, like, that's the word or emotion that comes to my mind. Like there's that one panel at the very beginning where you literally see all the Hashira. It's like a group shot of all of them, and there's like some line in there that's like, we've lost so many things, but we have to live on. It's like this whole chapter, this aftermath, it does a very good job of being like, we won, but like there was a cost. And I mean, like we've stated, even the people who are alive, whether they have physical scars or mental scars, emotional scars, what have you, but like there's just this huge weight, at least it was over my head the whole time reading it, of like, fuck dude, like it feels like everybody died. It literally feels like demons and demon slayers alike. I mean the Demon Slayer Corps is disbanding, and I'm assuming that some of these characters are sort of just kind of like go off and do their own thing. Maybe some will keep training, but it's like it's very like real, I guess, in the sense of like, it's not like they're not just like, oh, this was a crazy battle, let's go train for X amount of years until some shit happens. It's like, nah, like world's kind of at peace, like, and like there's just a lot of ambiguity. Like, no, we don't really know what anybody is gonna do or could do, and it's just like, it's very like,
No, I agree. I thought it was a cool couple panels as well. That's what I was really getting to. I was just fucking around with the Wind Pillar and Gyu as well. When it's like really crazy to see when it shows that shot and it's just the two of them kneeling in front of the clan, and it's like, damn, that's it. And then
he literally says it. He's like, you guys are the only ones left.
Yeah,
of the,
it's like, shit.
Hashira, and it's like, yeah,
I
they
know.
are. They fucking survived.
I couldn't help but like picture the scene like when it was all of them. You know what I mean? And it's like, holy shit, like they're all gone. It was just really real. Like that panel was very real for me. And it was cool because then the son of the Ubu, how do I pronounce that? Ubushiki clan?
We know what you're talking about.
Yeah, those guys. They bow their heads in thanks, and the crazy amount of respect that the pillars show. They're like, get your head up right now. He's like, you stop it. You were like 10 years old, and you just like literally straight up became a general within 2 minutes after your father just yeeted himself. Right? Like, stop. Like, if anything, we need to be thankful to you. It just shows the sheer resolve of that family is crazy. And then he just lets out a cry and says thank you, and it was a really heartfelt moment. It's like, you know what? You're good people. You're good kids. But then we go to one of my favorite characters, the Sound Pillar, who's, again, name I forgot, get over it, and his 3 wives that come in, and they say hi to Tanjiro, and it's hilarious to me to see the wives, the dynamic between them, because the one just like smacks the shit out of the other one, and she's like, she hit me, did you see it? And he's like, nah, I didn't see it. Just like, oh my gosh, this is like the most dysfunctional, amazing thing that I've ever seen. But beyond them, we have like a lot of people come in, and it was like,
Rangoku's family comes in. At one point.
Yep, like the whole shebang, dude. The guys with the masks, the swordsmiths, all that. I'm actually very excited if they ever get to that point to see that part animated. Weirdly enough, because it's like a very wholesome moment, like end of movie style. Like, oh, here's everyone from like the lives of all the people that we've touched, you know what I mean? Or that Tanjiro specifically has touched throughout the entirety of the story, you know what I mean? All coming to visit him. And it was just like this really heartfelt moment. And Rangoku's father as well, which almost brings tears to my eyes every time I like see that family, because it's like, oh, it's just so sad. And he's like, my sons, you fought using his guard, thank you. And then Tanjiro gives his thanks. And it was just like, damn, bro, this like really heartfelt stuff. You know what I mean? It was really cool because it's like all these people's lives have been touched, and it's like they're trying to give back in any way they can. Tanjiro's just, taking it like a champ. But from there, we get to the the best character in this series. Inosuke it takes this opportunity to start just stealing food off the table. But not stealing food off of his plate that he was designated anyway, because he's too stupid to figure that one out, which I thought was hilarious. He's just the best panel shot. He's just walking down the hallway and he just goes, I'm hungry. And he's just sliding like under people with the boar's head on and stuff like that. It was so funny, dude. Just like the amount of like comedy I find just all the time in this story has just been so great. It's been such a treat between all of these characters, and Inosuke specifically just like literally has me cracking up like every single time he's on panel. It's the funniest thing. But it looked like they were showing like a bit of a, I don't know, like I don't want to be one of those anime fans that like, oh, they looked at each other, ship them. But like it was interesting because the girl gives him the rice cakes and like his tray, and Inosuke has that like lit up look in his eyes. You know what I mean? Like he does with the old lady when she gives him
he was
stuff.
just happy to get his own plate of food.
Yeah, no, it was just funny though. It was like it would be nice to see Inosuke, like get hooked up. I don't know.
I don't know about that.
I don't think so.
I
I think he's a little too, not concerned with that kind of stuff.
I don't know. Yeah, no, probably not at all. It'd be funny, but anyway, and then we go to Tanjiro and Kano at the tree, the tree blossom, which I thought Kano was going to be completely blind, but surprise, surprise, she's not. So I was like, oh, that's good, because it's like we all lost a lot, but that was nice because she's just staring at the tree, and I'm like, can you see that?
Though, like these panels, every time you see like either Tanjiro with his like fucked up eyes and her, it's like there's just like I think the physical scarring that everybody suffered does such a great job of like just hitting you with this indicator of like everybody, we said before, everybody has lost a lot of things in this battle, but it's like literally, except for like, again, Inosuke and kind of Zenitsu, like nobody is the same as from when we went into this battle, or even a couple chapters before that, like during the training arcs. Like everybody literally lost something, whether it was a piece of them, someone they love, multiple people they love. Like it's just crazy seeing, like, again, because this scene is perfect callback to the first scene that Tanjiro and Kano have when he sort of like changes her way of thinking, where they're both just happy, bright-eyed kids, like essentially getting ready to go into the Demon Slayer Corps and fight. And now it's like, you get to see them both after those events, where it's like they're both physically fucked up and scarred from it, but I'm sure both also mentally scarred from it. And it's just like, again, there's this whole like, it's great that everybody who is alive, but there's such like this eerie tone of like, fuck, man, like we really got hit.
No, that is totally right. I agree. And it was like, again, what was cool too in that too? It's like even the people that had passed on, like they're remembered. You know what I mean? Like they do a good job of paying homage, like Gavin said before, to like all of these characters, even in death. And like we'll get to it in a minute with where they're at the grave site. But even before that, when Kano says that she got Kuburamu Kun, yeah, close enough, his snake,
friend,
or the snake pillar's friend, gave her the snake. You know what I mean? It was like, oh, that's cool that it's like, she lives on like through the tree and through, you know what I mean, like through the snake. And it's like there's just like these little subtle things to remember these people. And then we get to what may have been my favorite part.
This was definitely one of mine.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear you guys talk about it, but it's when, again, the Wind Pillar meets Nezuko. So I was curious to hear I think this was my favorite set of panels in the chapter personally. Man, it was just like a weight lifted off my chest, but it was like you almost want to cry. I'm curious to hear you guys' thoughts. What did you think when you first read it?
I just really liked it because for the longest time, up until we got into like the final war arc, where we stormed Muzan's whole like fortress or whatever, very clearly this Wind Pillar brother was set up to be like, and I don't give a fuck, no nonsense, like fuck you and all your homies kind of dude who like just has absolutely no regard for anybody or anything here. As long as he gets to chop up some demons, like, you know what I mean, put in his 9 to 5, he's good, he's done. And even when a lot of the other Hashiras got their sort of, their Tanjiro changes them arc, he didn't, right? He stayed more or less relatively stagnant in his beliefs and in his character. And once we got into the fortress, like, right, you got to see a little bit more of, of his mentality and like how he views this whole fight and how he views like his allies and the people around him and the demons that they fight. But like, I was so concerned, and by now I had this fear, squashed. But for a while I was so concerned that they were going to do this this thing with where like what they have with Bakugo, where he's just like, yeah, he's a good guy, but he's just always still pissed off at everybody for everything. And I'm so glad that's not the direction they went in, and that he's actually had like a very noticeable and, in my opinion, a very real shift in character. And like, granted, his little brother died in front of him, but like, it's just nice to see this man express any other emotion other than, you know, distaste and disgust and anger, but also have like a very realistic, you know, shift into that mindset, and a very realistic like turn in his character arc, where it's like, you know, he's one, it's nice to see this scene specifically, right? Because again, this whole chapter does this too, where like a lot of these character interactions, when you think about it, are literal mirrors of character actions that, or interactions that the same two characters have had, you know, prior at some point in the story. So obviously, again, the first time they met, Nezuko was a demon and in a box, and this dude was stabbing her in said box. So it's like, this is cool to see sort of where their, you know, both of their minds and both of their hearts have come into two completely different places now. But obviously more so the wind pillar. And it's like, it's great to see that the loss that he suffered, if anything, has strengthened his resolve in like his allies and in humanity, which is just like, it's just a relieving feeling.
No, that was really well said. I couldn't agree more. Gavin, did you have thoughts on it? Because I have a feeling this is probably the favorite amongst all three of us. I could be wrong, but I was curious to hear.
Just when they bridged the two of Nezuko and his brother that he had lost, with them having like similar, not speech patterns, but you know what I mean, almost like personalities, where similar habits, with they had the whole sleeping thing. Like, I like to sleep, and then he had that little like picture where he saw like his brother saying that, you know, and he kind of felt it. And it's just heartwarming shit, dude. It's there's nothing more you can get, and I love the callback to his brother, and you can just, like, as soon as I saw that panel, literally what flashed back in my mind was when his head was literally fucking cut off, and he took the Upper Moon's fucking sword and ate that shit to then, like, recombine his body to get the fucking gun to shoot it. Like immediately your brain just kind of goes back to what had happened, and you, like, relive these moments in your mind, and that's what's so great about not only this chapter, but this whole series just in general. It's, you're able to recall back on these memories, and especially in moments like these where you need to, and it's, oh, dude, it just hits you in the feels. I don't know. It's just sad. It's just so sad, because I really thought they were going to bring back his brother, if not kill them both at the same time almost. And the fact that they kept him living, and just for the fact that you could see his personality and like his whole life perspective switch, which is much fucking needed, because if he was still a bitter asshole at the end of this, dude, I literally would have probably raped his ass. Like, I would have fucking went into the Demon Slayer world, dude. No, dude, his ass would be grass. If he was still being a bitch and like said something to Nezuko, dude, don't even, like, I would have beat his ass. But
I'm sure you would have taught him a lesson, Gavin.
I think everybody would have. If he went up to her, he's like, "Oh yeah, Nezuko, I still don't really like you." I'm pretty sure every single fucker and their mother would be there with the bat beating this kid's fucking.
I'm just
toes
saying,
in
in
like,
terms of like fighting ability, he'd probably just still whoop all their asses anyway.
No, he won't. No, he won't, because I have a secret move, and that's pulling down my pants and fucking hitting him with that stick, dude. Because I ain't dealing with that, and he is hitting the ground, and I don't care. But he didn't. He's a good guy now, or he better be. If not, you'll see what happens in the future. And when he flashed that little half smile, dude, that just, like, I couldn't be happier. I was like, thank fucking God he is getting, like, he's
that
still gonna be hurt.
Like, that was like, there it is. Yeah. That's what I needed to see.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong. He's not gonna be a fucking God-sent angel. Like, he still has a lot of grieving to go through. But it's nice to see that he is taking the correct step forward in his healing process. And it's one of those things where you just hope for the best. And, I mean, see how far this time skip goes in the future. I don't know if they said it at the end of the chapter, but if it's like, you know, 3 or 4 years into the future, and they kind of like rehash every character to see, like, almost like a where are we now sort of deal. I'm really curious to like see what he's doing and how he lives in that new modern era. And really all these characters, because it's kind of hard to picture, like, there was a moment when Tanjiro and fucking Inosuke didn't even know what a fucking train was. And like we're going from that to now we're in a modern era with actual technology shit going on. Like I don't know. It's going to be interesting just seeing them live.
Will be alive, to be honest. I mean, depending on how far in the future we're talking, like because the time period that they live, that the initial story takes place in is pretty far away from what I would consider the modern era. So yeah, who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. That's going to be very interesting to see, though.
Yeah, I'm curious.
For sure.
And like, not to beat a dead horse, because I think you guys hit basically all the points. But again, this is probably my favorite set of panels in the chapter, out of the whole thing. And again, just like Isaiah said, seeing this redemption in him, where it's like he's not just staying pissed at the world, like he could actually take a sigh of relief, and where he pats Nezuko on the head at that last part was just really cute, and then when he smiles, it was just a really heartfelt moment. And then Zenitsu was mad jealous because he had Nezuko sweating there. I don't know if you see that panel, but she's got like the little blush under her cheeks and she's sweating. Zenitsu was ready to brawl with that guy, bro. He's ready to go thunderclap flash on his ass, which I thought was really funny. But then, right after that, real quick, we had Gyu's mentor, whose, again, name evades me, but the guy with the mask who initially taught Tanjiro the water style come up, and it was really cool to see him because he was always a homie from the beginning, and he hugs Nezuko because he really believed in them. And then basically the last set of panels we see are the kids giving flowers to the folks who perished at their graves. And of course Inosuke has to make a competition out of it, which was hilarious because he's just sprinting full speed and whipping flowers at all the graves.
I really like that Zenitsu and Inosuke are kind of very clearly like, all right, this chapter we're here to make niggas laugh, because it's like everybody else is kind of like, well, this is it, it's getting like time to wrap shit up, and you're like in the middle, like you're fucking crying from every other panel, and then every other panel is these two niggas just fucking doing whatever the fuck they're doing. Like, it's funny because one, they're both probably the ones that walked out of this with the least amount of like serious, substantial, long-term injuries.
Yeah.
And it's just great to see them kind of being like, what the fuck, like dicking around, and it's like, guys.
Dude, he goes, when Inosuke goes, hey, what's on your back? And he goes, my grandpa's ashes. And he goes, ashes? Do you eat them? He goes, no. Oh my gosh, it's hilarious. And it's like, again, Inosuke's just clueless look with the boar's head with the eyes all crisscrossed. Dude, it's the funniest thing in the world. I crack up every time I see that. But they all pray at the end, because again, I love how this story incorporates like the like ancient religious undertones to it, and like the culture. And again, when it was animated, that was something like even down to the soundtrack, like the whole nine. It's really steeped in that culture and in that time, so it's really cool to see that. And then at the end, again, we have like some very normal stuff of the kids cleaning the house and taking a bath. Inosuke jumps in the bath when he's not supposed to, and they're all eating together, and and having laughs, and it's just like this really wholesome thing, and it just ends it off on like a really good note. And then from there, again, the last panel, it says time goes by, it's the modern era, next issue, center color with 24 pages. So really excited for that. I really loved this chapter. I thought it was really wholesome. It hit a lot of the beats. It had a lot of cool redemption. We got to see a lot of familiar faces come back again, and it was glad to see that the people that did survive are all right, and that they're going to be able to be stronger because of this. And just again, the impact that Tanjiro has had on so many people's lives is just always inspiring. So I love the chapter. I'm assuming you guys did too. I don't know if you guys have any final thoughts before we sign off on this one, but let the folks hear it.
Yeah, I loved it, obviously. I mean, I feel like once you've read up to this far, it's like, this is like, you can't not like it, This chapter is like the cathartic like relief, right? After literally the past 200 plus chapters of fighting and just niggas dying left and right, and like just emotion. It's literally been an actual emotional roller coaster for the past 200 chapters. So this was nice. But again, I couldn't help but weirdly draw parallels between this and the Fourth Great Ninja War. But I feel like this chapter or let's just this arc, like I felt the impact, I guess, of like this final war, this final fight a lot more, because it's like, if you think back to Naruto, it's like they lost like a lot of people in the war, but like arguably nobody that like really shook up the cast, right? I mean, like, we don't have Neji anymore, and like Guy can't fight, but like he kind of still can, but like only in a wheelchair. I don't know, it's like a weird like half thing, whatever. But it's like, for the most part, everybody's pretty much okay, right? Like, we didn't really like take any main blows to the, you know, to the cast, where it's like dude, we literally lost half of the fucking cast in this story. Like, literally all the Hashiras gutted. There's like 2 of them left, and like it's crazy to see. I don't know, again, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, but like, just what a toll the fight took. And like, that's why I'm curious to see what's going on with this modern era stuff. If it's like if we're picking up on like a new chapter, and it's like we're gonna just do like a modern, you know, era take on Demon Slayer, or like if this is just gonna be like the, you know, the conclusion to the conclusion kind of deal, or what. But like, I don't know. But this was good. This was a very good chapter, much needed.
Yeah, I totally agree. Gavin, any final thoughts?
Yeah, no, totally. I agree with everything Isaiah said, and I feel like the next chapter it's kind of like, as at the point where we're at, in my opinion, each next chapter is kind of more crucial to the last. And what I mean by that is, we're taking a big jump right now in terms of just what we're used to in the story and what is historically known. They're living in older times, you know, it's not very modern, and now we're taking that next jump. And I really hope that with taking this jump, they're not losing out on everything that they've been kind of laying forward, if that makes sense. Like, they legitimately could have ended it on this chapter that we just read, like, in all honesty, and they can hash it out for a couple more chapters. They can take a lot of different avenues. It's just, I really hope they don't. They really can't ruin the integrity of the story by any means, but I don't want them to drag it out, because there's a lot of just manga and animes that are notorious for doing that, and you really feel it. And right now, I'm very much getting like, I'm content if they end it now, and I'd almost be kind of distraught if they kept on like not beating it to the ground, but running it with no content, if that makes sense. Like, they're just kind of like keeping it alive to keep it alive. I don't know. We'll have to see how just they like choreograph the whole next chapter. I'm very interested in it. I just really hope it doesn't take away from the whole show, although I'm sure it won't, because at least to this point, it looks like they had really good writers for this series. So I'd imagine they wouldn't butcher it on the last fucking hind legs, but I don't know. We'll have to play the waiting game and see what they come up with, and who knows? There might even be a next chapter after that, and I guess it's something you just have to prepare for.
Hell yeah.
So
no,
we'll see. But
yeah, yeah, guys, that's our thoughts. Make sure if you guys like the content today, you guys are liking, subscribing, hitting the notification bell, and sharing with your friends. Make sure you guys are commenting as well. Let us know what your thoughts on this chapter were if you've read it. Have these episodes maybe inspired you to read it, if you don't care about spoilers, that is. And what other manga are you guys on as of late? What do you guys also think is going to happen in the future for this? Let us know all of your thoughts, all of them. But anyway, guys, until next time, thank you so much for listening. We'll catch you on the flip. Peace.
Bye-bye.
Hey folks, thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our new episodes.
you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at AoA Podcast if you want to keep up with our content or suggest new ideas for the show.
You can watch us on YouTube or listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, or more. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week to talk about all things anime.